Welcome to the County Manager's Report. I'm Lloyd Higuera, and with me is Douglas County Manager Jim Nichols. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you.
And good to have you here. We're going to talk about the March meetings of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. They had a meeting on March 5 and March 19. Let's start with the March 5th meeting. And at that meeting, commissioners upheld the Planning Commission's denial of a solar photovoltaic facility to be located in the East Valley. And what were the main reasons for the denial?
Well, before I even give the reasons, I'll tell you that that was probably the most significant issue discussed that evening. I think there had to be over an hour of public comment and public testimony presented. The overwhelming majority of the comments received were against that facility, and I think that certainly played a role in the board's decision. Ultimately, the board verified or endorsed the Planning Commission's original decision to deny a permit, and this was for a special use permit, and they basically said that the facility was unable to meet findings A and B for that special use permit. Now, finding A would have been related to the location of the facility and it being consistent with the policies of the master plan. And then finding B is related to the facility being compatible with the surrounding development and neighborhoods. And so in both cases, the Planning Commission felt the proposed facility was did not meet those two findings, and the Board of Commissioners agreed with that. So ultimately, the project was denied, and at this point will not be moving forward in the location it had been proposed for.
Okay. And I guess we could possibly see those folks come back again?
Certainly they could come back with a different location, different site. If they can find a way to meet findings A and B that they previously were unable to, they certainly could come back to the Planning Commission and then potentially the board for approval.
Okay. Well, also at that meeting, commissioners approved two ordinances. This was to allow the town of Minden to establish speed limits in the town and also determine where to locate traffic control devices.
Right. This has been an issue that's been talked about and reviewed by both the town and the county for, it seems, several months. This was a second reading, and so it finalized the approval process for the town of Minden, and now be responsible for setting speed limits on local roads as well as addressing traffic control devices within the town, excluding any county or state roads.
Okay. Also at that meeting, commissioners heard a presentation on noxious weed control here in Douglas County. And of course, Douglas County is the model for the noxious weed program for the state.
Yes, it is. And it was a very interesting presentation. A lot of information was shared, but I think the highlights that folks might care about were some of the accomplishments within Douglas County in 2014. Some of those accomplishments include the 8 certified weed-free forage producers and 1,595 acres that were certified. 1 new certified weed-free gravel earth materials pit was established in the county. And then there was also a situation where 3 complaints were received at the NDA office, and all were resolved by Douglas County Weed Control. So those are some of the things that demonstrate the program is working and working well in Douglas County.
Okay, well, let's move ahead to the March 19 meeting. And that was up at Lake Tahoe.
Right.
And there, commissioners accepted a Douglas County classification study, and they directed staff to develop a plan for implementation. Could you give us a little more detail on the classification study, what
Sure.
that is?
Well, it's technically called a comp and class study, and it's a two-pronged view of how we address compensation with county employees. So first is the classification component, where you look at how employees' positions are classified relative to other positions, and then you look at their compensation relative to the market. And by the market, you look at other regional employers, you look at other counties that have other similar positions, and evaluate or compare how our employees are compensated relative to those other similar positions. So, as you said, the board received a report on that study that was conducted, and then their charge to staff was to come back with an actual implementation plan, because it's one thing to say what the compensation needs are for your employees. It's another thing to make it affordable and sustainable. So that's the component we're working on now, and staff will be coming back to the board in the near future with a plan of how to implement that study.
Okay. Well, Commissioners approved the Douglas County 5-year transportation plan. And can you give us kind of a little overview of that plan?
Sure. This is basically the transportation plan as approved by the RTC, the Regional Transportation Commission, and it is the transportation projects necessitated over the next 5 years within Douglas County. And so the RTC first approves that plan, and then it goes to the full board for review and approval. And it basically is, pardon the pun, but a roadmap of the projects needed within Douglas County to address our 5 years worth of transportation needs.
Okay. Commissioners also heard an update on the process to secure a passage of the Douglas County Conservation Bill. This one's been around for a while.
Yes, it has. Several years, as a matter of fact. And the good news that the board received is that the conservation bill has been brought out at the federal level by both the House and Senate. It has, you could say, unanimous support from all of our state representatives, and appears to be gaining traction, and we're hopeful that it will be passed and approved sometime later this year.
So it could happen in 2015.
That is our hope and expectation at this time. Things can always change, but right now we're very optimistic.
That'd be great. And Commissioners also at that March 19th meeting heard a presentation and update on the Tahoe revitalization project.
Right. Mike Bradford, one of our economic vitality champions, gave the presentation, and he talked to the board about the revitalization efforts that have occurred up and around Lake Tahoe. You know, one of the most significant things that I think was brought up relates to the fact that there's been over $300 million of private sector investment in the properties up there, and that's a big advantage, a big opportunity for the county, and one that we don't want to squander. So I think his message was well received by the board, and demonstrates that we are certainly in the midst of a strong economic situation at the lake and countywide as well.
Okay. Well, that pretty well sums up the March meetings of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. Do you have a preview of any of the items Commissioners will be discussing during the month of April?
Sure. I think the big one that really is worth highlighting for the public is related to the countywide connectivity initiative. As the viewers may recall, that was brought to the board about a month or two ago, and staff was directed to come back with both prioritized projects and funding options. And that's what we'll be going to the board with, talking about which projects we rate as the higher priorities that need to be addressed more immediately, and then also the different sources of funding that the county can look at for addressing those projects. So that's going to be one very significant and very important to this county's future.
Well, that'll be very interesting. Okay, well, Jim, I sure thank you for all the information you shared here on the County Manager's Report. That's what we do here. I'm Lloyd Higuera for County Manager Jim Nichols, and we'll see you next time right here on the County Manager's Report.